Hi everybody. If you remember within the previous video we mentioned that based on the size of the nanoparticles, the gold nanoparticles, the wavelengths that they can absorb and reflect is changing based on the size. Okay, for the small nanoparticles they can absorb the waves with higher energy and reflect the waves with lower energy. Okay, so when they absorb the blue light with higher energy, the red light is reflected, and this is exactly the opposite for the larger nanoparticles, because the wavelengths with the lower energy, the red light, is absorbed, and the waves with the higher energy, the blue, is reflected. But this dependence is not only on size. We have also the dependence on the shape of the gold nanoparticles. As you see here, when the change of the shape happens from the rod shape AU particles to the spherical ones, the light that is reflected is changing from red to blue. Now that we got familiar with the change in color based on the size and the shape of AU particles, let's go into some of the applications of these particles. The first one is the photodynamic therapy. It is also called the hyperthermia therapy. Well, let's go into the details of what is happening. Based on the intrinsic properties, by intrinsic I mean the natural properties of the gold nanoparticles, when they are emitted by the near infrared waves, the wavelength of about 700-800 nanometer, the light will be absorbed by these gold nanoparticles, and the local temperature in the tissue that these gold nanoparticles are present will increase. You see here, the physiological temperature of the body is around 37 degrees, and when the nanoparticles, the AU nanoparticles are here and we emit them with the near infrared light, the temperature increases to the 43 degree. This is the temperature that the cancerous cells cannot withstand, and they will start to be killed. Because this killing of the cancer cells is happening due to the increase in the temperature, it is called a thermal therapy. And because this increase into the temperature is due to the emission of the photons, it is called the photothermal therapy. As an alternative application of the gold nanoparticles, we can mention the therapeutic agent delivery. This is simply delivering the drugs by the help of the gold nanoparticles. And it's pretty simple. If you see just a spherical gold particle, you can load the drugs onto the surface of them and deliver them into the body. In the matter of sensors, we mentioned about the cluster of the particles all around the proteins. So when the cluster of the particles is formed, the color will change from the red to blue, because when the cluster of nanoparticles is formed, their size will increase. And if you remember here, we said that as the size increases, the light will change from red to blue. So we can use this change in color as a sensor to see when the cluster of the particles is happening. I just remembered I have to say that due to the low penetration depth of this near infrared light, we are limited only into the tumors which are located not too deeply within the body. And we have also the another applications of the gold particles in diagnostics for imaging, and also using the probes when they produce an array of interesting colors under dark field microscopy, and etc. As another application of the gold nanoparticles, we can refer to the NIR fluorescence of the gold nanoparticles. The idea is that because compared to the waves with high energy, which have low penetration depth into the tissue, if you remember, we mentioned it here that the blue light with the higher energy and lower wavelength has the lower penetration depth into the tissue, but the light here near the infrared has higher penetration depth. If we use this property of light, we can shine the gold nanoparticles deeper into the body. And because the gold nanoparticles absorb these lights and are excited, they will generate a strong electromagnetic field on their surface. Okay, and this field can be used to excite the fluorophores which are placed onto their surface. So the problem of the penetration depth, although it is not completely solved, but at least we can say that now we can go more deeply into the body by just shining the gold nanoparticles with near infrared wavelengths, and then generating a strong electromagnetic field here to excite the fluorophores which are observed on their surface.